we've seen so far that a lot of young people, in spite of the pandemic, are acquiring a lot of skills. So it's never too late to upskill yourself to make something meaningful for yourself now and even post COVID. We're going to be going deeper into the impact of COVID-19, and of course, we're going to be starting with a presentation on youth enterprise development, on how you can raise profitable businesses during and post the COVID-19 pandemic. And to lead us in this session, we'll be having our very own dear Mr. Akan Imoh, strategic communications and knowledge management analyst, and that's for Social Capital Impact Group. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mr. Akan. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon once again. I appreciate the honor. Thank you. It's a big privilege to be here, and I appreciate this invitation. Thank you very much, Mrs. Martins. I really appreciate this. So I'll just get right to it. During the Vox Pop that was played just now, I watched it, and then I saw one of the people who talked on the Vox Pop there saying that one thing he discovered during the lockdown or during this whole COVID era is the fact that now people can comfortably do business with other people that they might not have seen before. And before, it wasn't as it wasn't that emphasized as this. But right now, because of the world that we live in, what we've seen happen to us now, we realize that you can comfortably sit in your home and order something online and then be so comfortable that it's going to get to you easily. And all this just comes to explain to us that our world is changing, and young people, we need to look at how we can take advantage of this and build something for ourselves. And that just makes me ask one question. Now, entrepreneurship, enterprise development as a topic, how feasible is this? And you see, because we need to understand that we need to begin to build a life for ourselves. We need to begin to build something very strong for ourselves. And entrepreneurship is a feasible alternative. So we have a problem of jobs. We have many people complain that there are no jobs. They can't get a job from here. They can't do this. They can't do that. And I always tell young people, and I tell them, have you thought of starting something very small for yourself? You know, the interesting thing about this right now is the fact that this period, we now have like was said in the Vox Pop, we now have people who want to do businesses online, who want to engage your services. They might not necessarily want to see you. That the paradigm has completely shifted. And as much as we might want to sit down and complain and cry about it, we should also look at the advantages. We should also look at the good sides of it and say, how can we take advantage of this? How can we leverage on it? So I tell people, we should not sit down and only wait for a job. The goal is to have more than one stream of income. And that is why we must begin to see entrepreneurship as a credible alternative for anything that we are doing, as a credible alternative to begin to build our wealth. And is it so difficult to start a business? No, it is not. What we need to do now is to look at the situation on ground, look at COVID, and we need to look at what can we do? How can we solve the problems that are popping up? For example, one of the biggest problems that is popping up in this period is the problem of logistics. So we have realized now that people are comfortable buying things online. People are comfortable ordering for stuff, but then there's a problem or there's a challenge of taking these products from where they were bought or from the seller to the buyer. This is a logistics issue. That is the way we young people should think at this point in time. So what we are doing is that we are looking for problems and looking for challenges in the society. We're looking at the post-COVID era. What has COVID changed for us? What skills are now relevant? How can we take advantage of these things? And that is what we must begin to do. So we must begin to think of problems we can solve in uncertain times. We must begin to think of how to take advantage of the opportunities and mitigate the threats that COVID has brought for us. So there might be threats, but our job is not to, we're not supposed to start crying over spilled milk. Now we're supposed to be forward thinking and look at how we can push that. Let's talk about how we can start a small scale business. Now, one thing that is the first thing to note is that we need to look for a problem to solve. So you need to look around you and ask yourself, how can I solve this problem? For example, people are not going to school right now. So we have so many children sitting at home, not doing anything. And their parents are thinking of how they can engage these kids. And don't you know that that's the problem already? And you look at that problem and say, why don't I get people together? One person can teach maths, the other person can teach physics, one person can teach business studies, and bring them together and advertise and say, we can teach your kids from home. All you need is 2 hours per day. And do you realize that you have started a school already? Now, you see what I'm talking about, taking advantage of the present situation. So before, if you wanted to start a school, you need to go and rent a building and do everything, get uniforms and all. But right now, all you need to start a school is just your laptop or your phone and an internet connection. And then you bring teachers. You don't even need to know how to teach all the subjects. All you need to do is to begin to think like an entrepreneur right now. It's a very simple thing. So you craft an idea that can solve a problem. You don't always need to reinvent the wheel. Do you know what I mean by this? I mean, you don't need to go and bring up one new, crazy, novel idea. Sometimes that might be difficult. Sometimes you just need to look at a business that is already being done, and then you just do it better. Like, for example, the example I just gave, now I'm talking about the school. Is Education is a business that has always been done, and what we are just doing is we're just doing it better. Now, the next thing to do is you need to check for the commercial viability of your business. Can this thing bring me money? What is the business model for it? So that you know what you're doing from the beginning. Then you craft a strategy to help you move from just an idea to become a profit-making business. And you know what I'm talking about is because we have so many people who have so many ideas in their heads. They have all the ideas, but you know what their biggest challenge? They do not know how to start it. I was just talking with a friend, they would love to counsel people, psychological, mental health, and all those things. And I told her, do you know you can run this as a project? You can put structure to this and run it as a project. And she was like, how? So I said, bring your jotter, bring your notepad. And I gave her 10 steps. I told her, create an email address, create a landing page, create your social media platforms, create a newsletter platform, and begin to reach out to people. Let people send you anonymous letters, reply to them, begin to organize classes, trainings, and all. And before you know, you have started an organization already. So you must know how to, and you see, this organization that this girl wants to start, she did not go anywhere to get the resources she's using to start it have been minimized. So there is something that is called MVP. So the MVP is called the minimum viable product. So you ask yourself every time you want to start a business, and especially in this COVID era and the post-COVID era, you will need to rely more on your MVP. In fact, you need to do a lot with your MVP. I said it, let me say it again. MVP means minimum viable product. What is the meaning? What is the smallest and the least expensive thing that you need to get this business started? That is a question you must always ask yourself when you want to start. What is the smallest? So that you don't, right now we don't need so much again. Everything you bring down your cost and ask them what is the least expensive. The least expensive thing to start your business might just be a WhatsApp account. It might just be an Instagram account. That might be and you don't need money to set up these things. That's what we don't know most times. So you see that there are advantages that we can take control of. And then it says begin to execute. You see, when you look at all these things, you realize that we can set up a business from the comfort of our homes. So let me give you some examples. Let's talk about after COVID. Now, COVID came and it changed everything for us. Our lifestyles were changed. We are now beginning to do things the way we did not we are not doing before. So the question is, after COVID, what next? What is the next thing that is going to come for us? And one of the first things we need to understand is that we need to do what I call a post-COVID analysis. So we need to do an analysis on our businesses, on our lives, we need to ask ourselves, what skills will now be in demand? What skills will no longer be in demand? What businesses would somehow fizzle out? What are the new businesses that will come in? Let me give you an example. I do trainings and consulting. So a very major part of my business is to stand in front of people and train. And I've been doing this for close to 5 years. But you see, you know what happened interestingly? When COVID started, we couldn't do trainings again. And just of recent, we've now started doing online training. So I train top staff of top organizations via Zoom. In fact, I had one on Sunday. And you know, the interest, like for example, my training on Sunday was interesting because all my participants in that class came from all over the country. So I had people from Kaduna, Lagos, Enugu, and I myself, the facilitator, was in Abuja teaching, or I'm currently in Abuja teaching. And the beautiful thing is that we could come together. If we're going to organize that class physically, it will cost a whole lot it will be a logistical nightmare. But then we could do everything, and within 3 hours, we had passed all the information across simply. So you see that one thing that comes into play is that we need to understand what businesses will go out. So trainings, for me, as at that point, training has moved to a whole new dimension. At least in the meantime, and for a long while from now, we're not going to have physical trainings. We're going to have trainings like this. It is weird. That was 2 months ago, I anchored a book launch on Zoom. A young girl wrote a book and she did a book launch. I was the MC for that, and I was in my house. She was at her house. All the participants were in their different houses, and we organized the book launch and we raised money, everything the same way a book launch would go, physically, the same way we did it here. So you realize that there is a complete switch. There is a complete switch. So you ask yourself, what skills will be in demand? For example, skills that require digital connections will be in demand. I like to call them digital skills. So have you realized there is a high demand right now in digital marketers? You know why? Because businesses are now moving online. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Businesses are now moving online. And you know, these businesses moving online will need architects that will help them create the infrastructure that they will operate online. So there's a need for digital marketers, there's a need for content marketers, for SEO marketers, for email marketers. There's a need for content writers. You see, I talked about teaching. There's a need for teaching. Because let me share something with you. During the lockdown, especially the time where the lockdown was very intense, where we couldn't go anywhere, before the lockdown started, I was telling everybody who cared to listen that if you can create content, online content, this is the period to start creating content. You know why? Because people are going to be home and they're going to be bored. And that means they will be consuming lots of content this period. They will be consuming content. So if you know what is good for you, go and get a good phone or a camera and start creating content. If you've been thinking of launching a YouTube channel, this is the period to launch a YouTube channel because people will consume content. Because what do you expect them to do? They are home, they are bored, they want to. And I said, can you imagine setting up a YouTube channel that is dedicated to kids, to the little children, and then you are playing games, you are playing educational materials and all that, and parents discover it and they're like, please, if I can put this channel on for my child for 2 hours, my child will not disturb me, so I can continue working from home. You realize that that might be a business for you. I kept giving that advice because businesses are now moving online. It's important, and they will need new skills. They will need new people that can work on those things for them. So we are no longer having physical stores, we're having online stores. So the first one thing you need to do for yourself now is to ask yourself, what skills can I pick up at this point that would help me, that would give me an advantage in the next few years? Because this COVID has come, has changed a whole lot, and we must be strategic going forward. So let's talk about businesses. Because I know many of us are young and want to do a whole lot of stuff and want to set up businesses. And first, like I said earlier, I said you must always work with your MVP. And what's the MVP? Minimum viable product. Because you might not have ₦1,000,000 to start off. You get it? So if you have 2,000 naira, you have 5,000, you have 10,000, how can you start? Now, you need to understand that stores we're no longer having physical stores, we're now moving to online shops. For some people, they have been able to master Instagram and they have learned how to use an Instagram handle to run a business. So I have a friend who sells shoes on her Instagram handle, and then she's able to sell to a whole lot of people. I have someone who does a food delivery business from just her Instagram handle. You need to understand that you are starting lean. But this is the goal, so that you don't just start lean and stay there. It is this: dream big. If you can write this, write it down. Dream big, start small, go fast, expand ruthlessly. So let your dreams be very big. In fact, somebody says if your dreams don't scare you, you've not your dreams. Let your dreams be very big and start very small. Then make sure you grow fast and then you expand ruthlessly. Understand your target audience and know how to reach them. So the next question to ask yourself is, who is my target audience? Who do I want to sell to? Who do I want to attract? So I'm selling wigs. I sell wigs. Who can buy wigs? Who can pay? Who can pay for my wigs? Oh, I want working class ladies. You've understood who your target audience is. The next thing to do is now craft a message that can get to them. That's where you start branding and marketing your business. So you brand and market that small business you started in a way that a working class lady will see it and then she'll be attracted to it. You know, because there are different target audiences and there are different things that appeal to them. So if your target is secondary school students, you know that there are kinds of content you will put out that the secondary school students will get attracted to. So you need to, if you don't understand who you are selling to, you are not going to be able to sell. You know why? I've talked about the fact that everything is going online right now. And one of the biggest problems we're having online is what I call information overload. So the consumers are being hit with so many advertisements, so many information. The alternatives for them is too much. If they want to buy food, they have like 10 online vendors to buy food from. So you must not confuse them the more. You must not allow your message be lost in the crowd. That is why you must know who exactly you are selling to. Craft out your message to reach them. And I'll just drop some simple tools that we can use. We can always Google these tools and look at how we can work with them. So Canva is one of my best tools because it helps you do designs. So you might not need to spend money getting a graphic designer to do designs, to do flyers and all that for your Instagram page, for your social media pages. Once you register on Canva, you can do a whole lot there. And then payment system. I'm just going to use this too. Payment system. This is just to emphasize how easy they have made our lives. So I don't know if you've heard of Paystack, but Paystack is one of the easiest payment systems ever. Once you register, you don't need to start sending your account numbers again. You know, because when you send your account number, it looks like, are you serious with this business you're doing? What you do is that you send out a link and people can pay. In fact, you can put your link in a Facebook page, in a Facebook post, and then sponsor the post. So anybody who clicks on it just takes them to your payment link and they can pay for the services they want. It is so clean and clear. They don't need to see you. We don't need to see anybody. That is the world we are beginning to live in now, that I can do business with somebody in Meduguri without having met the person ever. And lastly, it is important that you build a community around your business. So when I tell people that are running online business, young people, they just keep advertising, just keep talking. I say, no, it's not every time you talk about your business. Talk about, build a community. And look at it from this way. Forget social media. Look at it like you're sitting down with a group of friends, 10 of you, you are sitting down together. And the only thing you are saying in that group where you are is that you're just talking about yourself. Okay, so this is it. I went to school here. For the next 1 hour, you talked about yourself. You didn't allow the people in that group, in that meeting to talk. You didn't say anything. You didn't ask them about themselves. You just talked about yourself alone. That is exactly how it is. If on your social media, you're only talking about your business, that's how you look like. So you need to Bring yourself into your community, understand what these people are saying, and try to move with them. Try to understand them. That way you can sell, you can be able to enter them, you can be able to understand what it is that they want, and then you can move with them. At this point in time, I think I want to say that it's been an amazing time talking with you, and I hope that we can understand that entrepreneurship is not just a buzzword, because people keep shouting entrepreneurship, entrepreneurship every day, but then it is beyond that. It is something that we can see that we should begin to take as an alternative, so that we have other streams of income, and I believe that we'll be able to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Akan Imoh. Thank you for the amazing insight so far. Indeed, entrepreneurship is the way to go. We need to begin to get creative about the things that we do, and more importantly, about identifying problems and solve them. Most times, we've come to realize that it's not just money that is the problem, but the lack of identification of a problem to solve. Thank you so much for the insights shared so far. Thank you. We appreciate you. So moving on, I would just like to mention this that we're fast going into our last discussion for today. Special thanks to everybody who has been with us all through from the start till now. We really do appreciate you as we gradually round off our event for today.